The school board meeting to order of March 2nd. Appoint the executive as clerk for the evening. You take a roll call, please.
Norm.
Here.
Dick, here. John.
Here.
Tatiana.
Here.
Jennifer.
Here.
Joe, absent. Jim.
Proof of notice.
As listed in the agenda.
Approval of the agenda. I'll move.
Second.
Motion by Norm, second by Jenny. Questions on the agenda? Norm?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried 6-0-1.
I was slow already. Who made the motions?
Norm, me.
Or who
Jenny.
seconded?
Jenny.
Okay, thank you.
Citizen comments? Approval of minutes of the February 17th meeting. Motion? I'll move, John. Norm?
I'll second.
Second by Tatiana. Questions on the minutes? Norm?
Aye.
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 Aye. Abstain.
Aye. Motion carried 5-0-2. Okay, we have resolution 1920-168, approval of regular semi-monthly bills. Motion by Jim. Seconded by
Jenny.
Jen. Questions on the bills? Hearing none. Jim?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carried 6-0-1. Dick, any communications?
None.
Okay. FFA report?
Hi, I'm Stacia Harned, the Mayville president, and is Cora Dorth, the vice president. And this Sunday we had our FFA breakfast, and it was a good turnout. And then next Thursday we have our banquet, and all of you are invited to come at 7 p.m. Dinner served first, and then we have our actual banquet. And that's all.
That is coming Thursday, the next Thursday, right?
The 12th.
12. Okay,
That's all I have.
all right.
Thank you.
Joe, work hard yesterday?
Yes.
You
It was a
did a
long
very
day.
good job again.
Yes, they did.
Thank you.
Yep.
It was our first time there, it was fantastic.
Thank
So
you.
we'll be back.
Did you stay busy right to the end, or did it slow down tonight?
At 12 o'clock, it was pretty quiet already.
Well, good turnout in the morning, so that's
Great,
awesome.
great, straight through until 12,
Hell, yeah.
11:30.
I didn't get any phone calls about raffle prizes.
Believe it or not, we sold 1,900.
Yeah.
And not one. Well,
Not
a
a
lot
lot.
of people won other than Mr.
Yep.
Staples, so that's okay.
It was all
Didn't
different,
either.
different group.
That's all right.
Thank you,
All
Stacia.
right, thank you.
I don't think we have a student council report. No. Committee reports. Administrator report.
We, last week, Wednesday, I completed a policy update with Neola, so we were ready to roll for another one. So per the advice from our Neola advisor, he said, really, I'll coordinate the policy committee, share these are all the updates with you, the basic information, say, this is the homework that everybody needs to do, and then rather than covering every policy step by step by step, going through and saying, what do you have questions on? And then speaking specifically to that, said you could really fly through the policy updates at that point in time. And the same protocol for at a board level too. So I'm an open person, so if that sounds like a good plan, I'll do that. But I still have no problem creating like that very structured kind of, I call it a cheat sheet that goes along with it and explains every single policy. So there's an overview that Neola gives us. This last one is much more simplified than the piece that we did before. That was a really significant update. This one probably only took about 4 hours to go through everything from front to back with our policy advisor. So Janet did a lot of work in advance. So I would say, no matter what kind of meeting we have, it probably won't last more than an hour. So do we want to tack it on again like we did last time after a board meeting? Is that the best way, rather than trying to figure out another night? Because it worked for me, it was fine.
It works for me because it's gonna be here anyway.
Okay, Debbie?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all right, so we'll, at the next board meeting then, we'll have a policy meeting. So I'll make sure this, I'm at a conference tomorrow, but on Wednesday, I'll get you all the resources to go along with everything. Just
So
to
that's
make
2
sure
weeks
you're-
from now?
Yep. Actually, no.
No.
So that in my report is, this board meeting happens to be during spring break. So I was hoping that we could do it the following Monday. And we have, it actually works out. This is one of those months where we have, like, there's extra space in there.
There's
Right.
like 5 Mondays.
Yeah,
right?
so then I thought we could move the board meeting to March 23rd. That'd work out perfect. And then we still have 2 weeks in between, so it's good.
I'd like to comment along with that. A week ago, I went to the school law conference, and that's where they came in with actual cases that different school districts went through, and many different items, from teachers to open laws to working with parochial schools and everything. And the biggest thing they tried to get across, write the policy and follow it. And like in open enrollment, but we decided that's it. There is no changes. So you really gotta watch when you put numbers in for open enrollment. You better watch it, because that's.
So, okay, so that's interesting, because for me, that's not in the policy, it's something that you approved. You approved the resolution. So the policy itself says that we're going to do this.
Right,
Right?
but that was another thing that they tried to get across, you know. That's something that's not policy yet. I just commented on that
Right.
because that was one of the things.
The only way that I think we could ever make an exception is if it comes back to the board and you adopt a different resolution.
It's pretty
That's
tough.
iffy.
Once it's sent,
Okay.
it's locked in.
We just administratively, I just made sure today that everybody has logins to our policies so that they can go in and see the edits, because just to see them is one thing, but you really need to see all the changes that have occurred.
And then if it does happen that you hired another teacher, that's a whole different story. But if all at once you're backing off and then you lost a few kids and you bring them in, that's where the problem comes
Sure,
in.
so if you actually expand staff, that'd be a reason why. Interesting. Wow, very timely conversation we're having. We're gonna talk about special education staffing, that kind of stuff, today. So Kara's here today to share a report with you. So, all right, so we need a policy meeting. I just heard that the next board meeting, which is now gonna be on March 23rd, so we'll have to change that on our calendar, make sure that it's all out there so everybody knows. We'll get that taken care of. The calendar for next year is included in the packet, so that we'll be discussing. I wanted to share, we do have a budget that is gonna have some reductions in it. So we are gonna have some staffing pieces, and we're gonna try to consolidate stuff as much as we can, save a little bit here, save a little bit there. But our enrollment is leveling out, but it still has a slight decline to it. So with that comes diminishing funds, so we'll have to figure this out. So we are having plenty of conversations. We had dialogue and started in January already. We have real numbers that came in February, and today we spent a lot of time speaking about opportunities for consolidation. We did not specifically talk staffing, right? So we have some more staffing dialogue that we need to have. But with that, the timeline for us to make decisions to bring to you as a Board of Education is April 30th is the final date. That's the last date possible for preliminary notices of non-renewal, okay? For whatever reason that is, these are for contracts. And then May 15th. So this time of year, there's some very important legal updates. I just wanted to share with you as some of the new board members here. This is what happens. This is every year, this is what happens in school law. So that means in the month of April, the beginning, then we'll probably start to have some definite staffing conversations. And the 23rd, we might be able already to get to some of that. So we'll see how much time we can spend together as a team And then even then, it's gonna be very much a preliminary draft, like concept, but then already in the month of April, concepts have to become the real deal. We don't have a choice. So, and those are only for contracts that are considered full-time. So like even a 90% contract actually doesn't have to meet that timeline. So it's 100% is the deal. Let me see what I have here. So tomorrow, a team is headed to training in Appleton. It is the second part of a 4-part series that we are helping to work on continuous improvement of our, here's a school acronym, multi-level systems of support. So that means our gifted and talented and our kind of learners on the edge, our at-risk students and our GT students. So it's multiple levels is what we're talking about. So we are identifying a lot of systems this year and making sure all of our systems are in alignment. This is one of those that we're dedicated to really putting together so we have a strong vision for 2020-21. On Wednesday, there's a Marine Park administrative breakfast. Last week, actually, I went to the Chamber of Commerce celebration, and I'm gonna join the board. So that's, if you want to, you can. So I think, you know, anything that I can do to help build those relationships is positive. And they meet like at noon, and it's all kind of on your own time. So figure out what we can do to help build a relationship up with the chamber. One of the things, like chambers out there are struggling as far as their overall numbers go, and they matter to communities. They try to keep them vital. So that's something I went to last week. It was a nice event. It was up at Wisco. It's my first time there. I've been here for 4 years, but my first time at Wisco. That's good stuff. So I'll publicly support them and the food that they have with them. This week, Friday, then, is a PAC meeting, legislative breakfast. So there's definitely lots happening at a state level. But I thought it was going to be quiet. It doesn't seem so quiet. It seems like a lot is going on. So I'll make sure to have a formal update from that. The last PAC meeting, we were asked to talk about how do we attract and retain staff. At the same exact time, that dialogue came about Act 10. Well, Act 10 had significant budget losses for schools, and so it's hard to talk about reductions in funds and how do you attract and retain staff. And right now, we absolutely do have, if we look at vacancies, at one time where something would have 150, if you have 50, that's really good. Something that once had 50, if you get 15, that was a lot. So things have changed. So we definitely need to talk as a state, as a communities about attracting staff members to the field of public education. So we've got our spring break, the 16th through the 20th, so we're moving the board meeting to the 23rd, and there are many other reports tonight, so I was going to keep mine short and sweet.
Okay. I'm going to your apprenticeship or presentation. Tony?
Good evening. My name is Joni DeRuyter, and I am your youth apprenticeship coordinator, and I work for CESA 6. I gave you all a sheet of paper, a little handout that explains some of the stuff that I have on there. Little history about myself. Family and consumer science teacher for 33 years. Absolutely enjoyed it. I was recruited by CESA 6. 31 of those years was in the school district of Princeton, and at Princeton for the last 6 years, this is my first year at CESA 6, we had over 30% of our seniors graduating with the youth apprenticeship. And CESA 6 came to me, if you can do that in small town Princeton, could you help some of the other districts? So in July, I made a switch and I jumped on board with CESA 6. I have 8 schools that I represent. I live in Berlin, Wisconsin. That's my northern conference. I was a golf coach for many years, so I have a north and a south division. So I have all the Green Lake County schools, and then I come to my southern conference, and that's Mayville, Horicon, Fustisford, and Camel Sport. So I basically I go into their districts and I am matching kids up with careers and trying to find businesses, students that will have them and have them work there. Basically, what is youth apprenticeship? A student needs to be a junior or senior to be in youth apprenticeship. And what works out really, really well if they have a career path, what do you want to do, and now do you have a job that's in that area? Then it needs to be paid employment. And along with that, it needs to fit into one of the career clusters that we have, and that's on the handout on this little flyer right here. Not every job is a youth apprenticeship job, so when I talk to the students, I do my best to see if there's any way that you can fit it in, especially if you have that career path in that job that you have. The students need to acquire 450 hours of work, which sounds like a lot, I can take 250 hours from the summer. They can't get all of the hours in the summer. And then we can add that onto their 450. If it is just during the school year, that averages to be about 15 hours a week. If I take 250 from the summer, then it's about 8 hours a week. So that's really nice for the students that are involved in the extracurricular or FFA or anything like that, it makes it more manageable with them with their school that they have. There is classroom-related instruction that needs to go with it. So whatever youth apprenticeship that they are in, they need to have some related classroom instruction in school for it. So the school is also supporting the youth apprenticeship. The students need to complete an education training agreement, and this agreement has the signature of the student, the parent, the business owner, and then my signature goes on it representing the Mayville School District. So basically this is an agreement with all 4 of those parties involved with it. They need to register with CISA 6. What I do then, I'm the glue that holds it together. So I talk to the kids, I talk to the businesses, I do on-site visits with them. If there are things that pop up, I should be the mediator, and hopefully that I can solve it and we can move on and the students can have a successful work experience. The students need to keep track of their hours. I meet with the students once a month. Today I was in Mayville meeting with my students, just how's school going, how's work going. Some of the kids, if I know scholarships that are out there, I will tell them about that. I asked them what their plans are after school. I did have one girl that I wrote, I made 11 letters of recommendations for scholarships. She gave me a list. And please write me some letters, so I did that for her. And then what happens is the students need to complete a checklist. So on the business part, every quarter they get sent a grading sheet. This is basically employability skills. This is on their transcripts. They get credit for it and they get a grade for it. So this is what they do to get their quarter grade. And then for each of the pathways, there's a checklist. And the students need to be at 2 or 3 of them, and these obviously are specific. One means to each area. One means that they can't do it. 2 means that have they been exposed to it? Could they job shadow it? Have they talked about this in school? Number 3 means that they could do it by themselves. So when we have that all done, then the students can earn a youth apprenticeship certificate. I tell the students this is more than just a sheet of paper. What this really represents, and this is something they can put on their adult resume. This is something they can use when they're applying for colleges and when they're applying for application or applying for scholarships. This means that they are a good worker, they have employability skills, and that they have mastered some task in whatever their area is. When this was explained to me in 1991 when youth apprenticeship first came out, this is supposed to be equivalent to what you would get from a 1-year technical degree if you would go for a 1-year associate degree. So this can merit a lot of weight. An example that I usually give, let's say you have someone who wants to go in the school of nursing. A great school is UW Oshkosh. So you go there your freshman and your sophomore year, you take your prereq. Well, those students then, their sophomore year, need to apply for the school of nursing. They usually take 300 applicants and they fill 90 spots. What is going to make you one of those special 90 people? Well, if you have a youth apprenticeship, a good worker, I have my CNA, I've been working in this since I was in high school, it really helps the kids get a jump start on their career. So that's basically what youth apprenticeship is. On the back side, working in Mayville has been very fun. Chris and Christine in the guidance office are the ones that I usually communicate with quite a bit. And then Mr. Zarnett, he's the one that actually helped me get this started. I had all 8 of these schools, so what Mr. Zarnett did the first week of school is he sat in the lunchroom and asked kids where they were working. So then I looked at the handwriting and what they had, and I kind of looked at to see which jobs that they had would be youth apprenticeship, talked to the guidance, which ones had related classroom instruction, and we came up with 13 students. For this year, for just a start, I didn't start until July, that we had a youth apprenticeship, so I'm really happy with that. You can see the businesses. This is so neat. It's students helping the businesses, or the school helping the businesses, and businesses helping the school. And that's what you need in the community. So these are the different areas where I have the kids working. We have 8 seniors, 5 juniors. Some of those juniors, I can sign them up for a year 2, so some of them will be back. I did go and talk to all of the sophomores and the juniors to see who would be interested in next year. And those are some additional businesses that we have on the bottom that I think that hopefully I'll have business partnerships with. Some things that I've done in the community, in November I went to the Mayville Rotary meeting. I was at the scheduling meeting that you had in January, and like I said, I talked to the juniors and seniors, and probably my next step will be talking more to the CTE teachers, because those usually are the classes that help this. So, we have some signage that we're gonna be putting up in school. I don't have one specific for Mayville, but we're gonna be getting posters of all 13 of the students. It'll have a picture, some will have two. It has a quote of the student, a quote from the businesses, and then we'll get this displayed, so more students that can see it, that will help. I'm also gonna get a smaller version made, and we're gonna give those to the businesses, so the businesses can put them up in their place also. The newspaper, I sent them some information, they're putting together a big spread that they're gonna have in the paper.
Can we get them for like social media postings as well? I think that'd be fun to be able to put on our social media.
Okay, yeah, and then they'll get that. We're in the process of making these. I have 80 students that I have in all my schools, and I'm getting posters for all 8 of them, so my IT person is getting a little overworked with me. So yeah, so this we'll be putting up at the school, and then every year as they change out, we'll swap them out, and we'll have more students involved in it. One last thing that some of the districts are doing, and we haven't gotten that far yet, some of the districts are having students for graduation course. Because this really is, it is a big deal, and the students that have started their career and are making plans for it, and it's a state certificate, is it possible that they could get recognized at graduation? So that is, yeah, so that is $2 from us.
So how many schools are you working with?
I have 8.
Yeah.
And 8, yeah.
So we have a good portion then, so I just did believe about 16% of the
Right.
overall group, so that's, for our first year, I think that's amazing.
Exactly, and like I said, I'm like, how do I get to meet these kids? And Sarah came up with the idea, well, I'll talk to them at lunch, and then we just rolled with that. And now I talked to all of the sophomores and the juniors, and I talked to Chris today, and I'll come back at lunchtimes, and I'll talk to those that are interested and see how interested that they really are, and then can I put these together?
What I think is so impressive by looking at this, are the youth apprenticeships only happen when they have the community support. So seeing all these different entities that have partnered with us and some of the potential ones for the future, and that to me, that's amazing.
Yeah, and this will just grow it. I mean, in 1991 I started doing it at Princeton at that time. Literally, when I'd come back to school, I would have messages on my phone, hey, I need a kid working here, and do you have a kid for this job? And that will happen eventually. We will get to that point. That newspaper article will be nice when that gets in print. It has my information in it too, so that'll go to everyone in the community, hopefully. So, and we can get some stuff on social media.
The success stories.
Yes.
So the actual, the proof is right here. When the kids are having positive experiences, they'll come back, they'll talk about it. The businesses that are a part of this first round here, things have gone really well, they'll talk about it too. What about like if there's a downturn in the economy, does that have an impact on youth apprenticeship?
It can. I mean, we'd like to see that employment all the way through. We did have a business that had students working through the summer, then they had to lay them off. But the business was awesome because they said, we have a commitment with youth apprenticeship for the students to work 450 hours. We will keep them until they get their 450 so they can get their certificate. Right. So that was awesome of them to do that. They fought to keep the kids there, but if they were laying off adults, then they had to let the kids go too.
So your school that you were at had 30% participation.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Princeton High School, last year I had a senior class, 21 in the class. That's how small we were. And for the last 6 years, 30% of the kids had the youth apprenticeship. I also taught a career employability skill class, so when they were sophomores. So then I knew where they wanted to be or what they wanted to do. But yes, so that's how I knew it. So I'd go up to them when they were a junior, senior. When you were a sophomore, you said you wanted to do this, and just the importance of getting a job and getting experience in the area that you want to go into. Build your resume.
So we've created it's our draft version of this is what it means to be a graduate from Mayville. So what we're calling it, like there's a whole system out there about profile of graduates. So this is ours piece that we're looking at. We've currently have some draft data, but in it, like we place a lot of significance and weight on a youth apprenticeship. It literally is like the best school to work initiative.
Oh my God, yes.
You know, and one of the things that Joni had mentioned before, even going into it and being like, there's no way on this planet that I want to go into whatever it is, the medical field, banking, whatever it is. Like that alone is a major return on their time too, because when they're going on to that next